Quiet Place is a 2018 American horror film directed by John Krasinski. It stars Krasinski, Emily Blunt, Millicent Simmons, Noah Jupe, and Cade Woodard. The film was produced by Michael Bay's company, Platinum Dunes, but I'm pretty sure Michael Bay had nothing to do with this film because it was actually a very competent film. The screenplay was written by Krasinski, Brian Woods, and Scott Beck, and it was based on a story by Woods and Beck. A Quiet Place is a post-apocalyptic film about a family that has to live in silence so as not to attract the attention of deadly alien predators who have appeared on Earth. The family is isolated on a farm, and the wife is pregnant and about to go into labor. A Quiet Place is intense, suspenseful, and there are moments that will have you on the edge of your seat. A Quiet Place looks at themes of the importance of family as it examines the struggles between these people, the struggles these people go through, and their interpersonal relationships with each other. It also looks at themes of sacrifice, asking the question, what are you willing to sacrifice for the ones that you love, or for the things that you love? The characters in this movie are well written and well acted. The dad, played by John Krasinski, he's very protective. That seems to be his main goal in the movie, to protect his family. He also comes off as sad and depressed, as he realizes he has a very good understanding on just how isolated and how far gone this apocalypse is, and just how dire the situation is. But he refuses to lose hope. Throughout the movie, he is shown as being hopeful. He has a scene where he tells his daughter that they have to keep trying, even if they fail, they keep trying until they succeed. So that's a very strong character trait of his. The mother, played by Emily Blunt, is also a very great character. She's caring and strong, and she's also pregnant for the majority of the movie, and that's actually what causes the most intense scenes, I believe. She is constantly in danger for a good period of the movie, and that all revolves around her pregnancy. And I don't know about you, but pregnancy and giving birth to a baby is not a very quiet thing. So that was a very interesting aspect of the mother. The daughter is stubborn and full of angst. She's a young girl, probably about a teenager, early teens, and she is deaf, which adds another interesting aspect to her. And she's guilt-ridden for something that she did in the past that we see at the beginning of the movie, and this is causing her to lose hope as the world around her is slowly breaking her. The son is cowardly and afraid, and he must learn to be strong in order to protect his family, especially his mother and his sister. A Quiet Place had a budget production value of somewhere around $17 to $21 million. Which isn't that much, but after seeing the film, comes off as much because it doesn't really appear that it had such a production value. The movie looked good. I'm not saying it didn't look good. It looked good, but I think the budget was a little too high because other movies have done more with lower budgets. After all, the movie takes place on a farm, in a farmhouse with about 5 characters, and that's it. Filming took place in upstate New York, so that's an interesting location to film. And also, while on set, the filming crew did their best to remain silent while filming, so that lesser sounds could be more prominent. Sounds such as the rolling of dice, or just other smaller sounds that we normally wouldn't hear. The use of silence and sign language really sets the movie apart. The movie opens up with just basically no dialogue, everything's silent, and for the most part there's very little, there's no dialogue throughout the film, no spoken dialogue. Most of the majority of dialogue is sign language, and this might be the only movie that I've seen where the majority of dialogue is sign language, so that added a very interesting aspect to the film, and I think it engaged the audience more because you have to pay more attention and read the what they're saying on through sign language, the subtitles. The cinematography was done by Charlotte Bruce Christensen, who's also worked on The Girl on the Train, Fences, and Molly's Game. The cinematography was decent. It has some good shots, has some good colors. I think it was a good job. The music was done by Marco Beltrami. He has done a whole bunch of stuff. Some of his more popular stuff includes Blade 2, Scream, Hellboy, The Wolverine, and Nolan, among others, and also some work on Logan. The silence in the movie allowed the music to shine and be heard, which is something I appreciated. In a lot of movies these days, you don't really hear the soundtrack, you don't really hear the music. So I think it was good that the movie was very silent. That way the music came off as more powerful. Now for the creatures in A Quiet Place, the creatures from newspaper clippings in the film, we learned that the creatures are aliens that crash landed on Earth during a meteor shower somewhere in Mexico, I believe. So this is actually a very interesting thing to learn about the creatures, because if they came here on a meteor, meteors aren't the fastest things in the universe, so that means they must have been, for them to get on a meteor, or for a meteor to crash into their world and carry them to Earth, that must have taken thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years, which means that they most likely would have evolved if they survived in the vacuum of space, which means they most likely would have evolved in the vacuum of space where there's no sound. So that would kind of explain why the creatures are so sensitive to sound, because in the film the creatures aren't portrayed as they hunt things to eat them, because we don't really see them eat anything. The creatures are portrayed more as sound drives them insane, or sound hurts them, and they seek to destroy anything that makes sound because they need silence. So that's an interesting aspect to the creatures themselves. So while I think the creatures kind of story itself is interesting, I found the creature design to be lackluster and somewhat boring. The creatures are just kind of brownish, humanoid type creatures. I think a different color, or a little bit more color, would have helped, or maybe a more weird design. In an interview, I think the production designer, Krasinski, stated that the creature's design was inspired by the Demogorgon from Stranger Things, and I also didn't like the design of that creature, but that's just my preference. I just felt that the creature's design could have been handled better. Personally, I would have preferred a prosthetic creature over a CGI creature. I feel like prosthetic creatures, especially in horror movies, are more engaging than CGI creatures. It kind of reminded me of The Thing, the John Carpenter Thing from 1982 versus the 2011 prequel. The 2011 prequel had the CGI alien, and it didn't feel as visceral or as alive or as real as the alien from the 1982 John Carpenter movie. And I think that really could have helped A Quiet Thing. So I think that's actually kind of my only issue with the film, was the use of the CGI alien, because especially towards the end I started getting Alien Covenant vibes of the CGI alien coming after these people, and I think it would have helped to have a prosthetic creature to make you feel more real and more grounded. Something else that I noticed in the film is that the aliens appear to be irritated by sound. So I guess that begs the question of, why don't they just go into the ocean or into water? Because we see in the film that the creatures can swim and they don't need air to survive. So why don't they just all go into the ocean where sound travels less? So that means it should be, I guess, less noisy for them. But then if that happened, there really wouldn't be a movie. So, but I mean, it wasn't really a big deal that took me out of the film. It was just something that popped up in the back of my head while I was watching the movie. But final thoughts. I thought the movie was intense. It was emotional. It was interesting. I liked the family dynamic. I appreciate that this alien invasion type film took place on a farm and not in a city like most movies in this genre. I think the whole city setting has become lackluster. So a farm, kind of a change of scenery, made it more interesting. I also think the film itself wasn't dreary or depressing enough. It had depressing moments, but it presented like there was a very depressing moment at the beginning of the film, and I kind of wish it had more of that sprinkled throughout the film, because it gets to a moment, like the certain moments are presented where very depressing things could occur, but the movie doesn't go that route, and I think that was kind of a missed opportunity for the film. I also personally, even though I like the music in the movie, I think I would have preferred if there was no music at all and they just kept the theme of silence. But I understand adding the music to engage the audience. But yeah, overall, I thought The Quiet Place was a really good movie, and I would definitely recommend it. So yeah, tell me what you think. Did you guys like A Quiet Place? Did you hate it? What do you think about the creature design? What do you think about the music? What do you think about John Krasinski's film? I think this is his first horror movie. This might be one of his first films, actually. So yeah, let me know what you think. Put your comments down below. Hit the like button if you like. Subscribe if you want more content. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys later.